Hey, welcome to 23 Degrees Sideways. Let's talk about unemployment and ID checks and liberal thinking and all that stuff. So, at the beginning of the pandemic, we had pretty serious issues with unemployment because, the government has decided that you don't get to work, so you need unemployment benefits. And it's pretty much up to the states to handle that, which is as it should be. But we learned a lot about state governments. And, I live in a state here, Nevada. I'm at the top of Nevada right now, where the governor screwed it up. He screwed it up really bad. What he did was he had fewer people working. They're working from home. There's no offices open. There's no phone calls, no phone tree, nothing. People are working less hours, and they're working, from home, so they don't have the proper equipment, okay? A bunch of makeshift stuff. So the efficiency of the unemployment office, DETR, Department of whatever, Employment Transition Resources, whatever it is, they're screwed. And all of a sudden they have literally 8 times as many people filing for unemployment. And there's tons of people who have not gotten unemployment even now. It's August. There are people who filed for unemployment in March who still get nothing, can't get anything, have no recourse, reviews, hearings. It's Nevada, so some of our system, our economy is different. We have, for example, we have sex workers, we have adult industry workers, like we have strippers, we have legal brothels, and a lot of this stuff is 1099 or just falls through the cracks. Let me get scare quotes in there, because that's basically what's happening. Is a lot of people who are not employed by large corporations like Walmart. Walmart's not laying anybody off, by the way, but these people they're falling through the cracks. They're not getting their unemployment. A lot of people who are self-employed, whose businesses got forced to shut down, they're not getting anything. Well, so our governor screwed it up massively. Just horrible, awful. You've got all these people looking for unemployment, and this is how he's selling the lockdown. He's selling this whole, we got to lock down for the safety of everybody because I'm scared, and I don't have any proof, but I'm scared, and so I'm going to give you all unemployment. Except it's not happening. It still isn't happening, right? Okay, so there were some suggestions to streamline the process. This is a conservative, Republican, right-leaning, veteran, there's the whole set of people making these suggestions. Suggestions are pretty simple. Do you have a driver's license? Okay? Yes. Do you have a social security number? Yes. Are you over 18? Yes. File for unemployment. If you're unemployed, fine. If you have records from your employer, fantastic. If you don't have direct records, because you don't have a 1099 yet, because you just started working this year, whatever, fine. Just leave some contact information. Okay, so that if and when the government has the ability to check up on it, they can. Just make sure you have your ID, a valid address, matches your ID, boom, get your check, right? No. Now, here's the funny thing, all right? I have a friend in Massachusetts. She's on YouTube. Her name is Liberty Doll. You should check out her channel. And Massachusetts tried this, but they didn't put in an ID requirement. They're just like, hey, welfare for all. Everybody gets unemployment. Just come on. So they had people from New Jersey with no ID just signing up on the website, getting checks mailed to random mailboxes and going to the check cashing place and be like, ha, ha, ha. So Massachusetts had to shut that down pretty quick. Now, what's the difference here? The difference is Massachusetts is basically liberal. And I hate to say it this way, but they have no clue. All right? The reality doesn't fit it. The idea that you would check IDs, the idea that checking IDs works 90% of the time, they're like, oh, no IDs. Voter ID bad. So no IDs for unemployment. Well, of course that's going to fail miserably because people are going to abuse the system. This is they didn't realize it. They didn't think of it. They could not comprehend that you have to actually structure something. You have to write up a little set of rules. You can make it easier, but you have to actually have a plan for the plan to work. You can't just have a goal with no plan, no process. And it's like it's a weird liberal thing. You look at the laws that are proposed when a Democrat writes a gun control bill, it almost always has nothing to do with guns, nothing to do with reality of guns, nothing to do with gun culture, nothing to do with the technology of firearms, nothing to do with anything other than shoulder thingy that goes up, and clipazines that fire 30 clips per second. This is literally how bad the brain, not their mental power, how bad their reality basis is. And I think this one's just hilarious because it's not about guns, it's not about school choice or anything actually important. It's about unemployment, and it's important. There are people here in Nevada who are in pretty rough situations because of this. And that's Sisolak. He's a virus. He's an infection on humanity at this point. Just a horrible guy, right? So, but the thing here is that it's something the government's causing. The government's saying you are not allowed to make money. So we're going to pay you money for not being allowed to make money, except that we can't figure out how to do it. Like either we're just writing checks to anyone who can get on a website, no matter how many times they get on the website. Hey, sign up for 100 accounts. It's fine. We're not checking IDs. Or you do what Steve Sisolak does and put no streamlining in, add complications. He's added complications, and then reduce your staff in hours. I don't get it. And I've had this conversation a few times, and it's very hard to get left-oriented liberal people to actually understand the concept of, hey, an ID check, a previous pay stub, previous year's tax filings if you don't live in Nevada, we don't have state tax, something, anything to say, yes, I'm a person. And then, hey, if they're trying to double dip, if they're working full time at 2 jobs and trying to get unemployment, then catch them later, all right? It's not that big a deal right now. But do the basic check. Know who you're sending the check to. And apparently that's too much. That was too much for the Massachusetts government to actually comprehend. Funny shit, isn't it? Stay sideways. Have a good one.